Hi everybody, my name is Esta O'Neil and I'm a volunteer naturalist with the Pickaway Park District. And today with Arista, we are here at Canal Park and we are going to look for wild edibles. Got a couple of books that might help you. Now most of this is probably on your iPhone, you can get that. But I'm more old school, so I don't know if you can see this. This is the Stalking the Wild Asparagus. It was written by Viola Gibbons in 1962. And it was kind of the first book that really got the ball rolling on people going out and looking for wild edibles. So I highly recommend this book. It's a classic. And then a Peterson Field Guide to Wild Edibles is another great book. It has pictures. It has little icons on how you can prepare it culinarily. So I recommend this also. So we're going to go on out and see what we can find. I do want to talk about the ethics of wild edibles. First of all, make sure you're harvesting sustainably. You don't want to come in and take something there's not very much of, or if it's an endangered species. And always know what you're collecting 100% before you collect it and eat it. Hey, look how lucky we got here today. This is a Morel Mushroom. It's from the genus Morchella, which is the sponge mushrooms. This is actually the fruiting body of a mushroom. The much larger organism is down below the ground. And when the conditions are right in the spring, usually a lot of rain and then it gets hot. It sends up this, it goes into reproduction and it sends up this fruiting body. And so that's the part that we eat. I like to pick them and cut them in half, and I soak them in salt water for about 5 minutes. That just gets rid of all the bugs that are in the nooks and crannies. And then I saute them. I dip them in flour and then saute them in butter. And you can serve them on toast. You can chop them up into pasta and eat them with scrambled eggs. There's all kinds of ways. So this is a really good find. They're highly prized, very, very edible. So right here we have a member of the mint family. This is purple dead nettles, right here. Now most of the mints are edible. Usually they're made into tea, stuff like that. But I found another use for these. You can just pick these off, and you get some oil really hot in a skillet, and you throw these in there, and they get really crispy, and you can eat them like that. So they're pretty tasty. You can put the crunchy dead nettles on top of pasta and crumble them over things, but they have a lot of vitamin A and a lot of vitamin C. So this is another edible. Okay, what we have in front of us here are violets, Viola Species, and the whole plant is edible. The leaves can be used fresh in salads or thrown into a mess of greens. They don't have that much flavor, but they can add bulk to whatever you're eating. The main thing that we're looking at though is the flower. The flower can be candied, and it's used. I'm a baker, so I'm used to candying these things for confections. What you do is you take a little bit of egg white and brush it on with a tiny paintbrush, and then put on very fine granulated sugar and let them dry. And they keep their shape, they keep their color, and you can put them on top of cupcakes. You can throw them into salads fresh. They don't have any flavor, but they're very pretty, and that's how I'm used to using them. Okay, so here we have another prized edible. These are nettles. Now I must confess I've never eaten nettles, but all the books say that it's highly prized, highly nutritious, makes an excellent cooked green, and you have to cook them to get rid of the stinging part. And you pick them with gloves on, and you throw them into boiling water, and supposedly that makes the stinging go away. And they are highly prized. They're used like spinach. So here we have wild onion. You can tell by the little bulbs that are on the top of the leaf, and it's when you pinch the leaf, it's an unmistakable smell of onion. It's a member of the alliums. Those are all the onions. This is one of many edible onions out in the woods. We also have wild leeks and field garlic, or a couple other edibles. Unfortunately, we have garlic mustard here. It's a member of the mustard family. It's highly, highly invasive. But the good thing about it is that it's edible. Being a mustard, it has all the vitamins and minerals that mustards have, like broccoli and cauliflower, kale. So it's immensely nutritious. You want to get it, it's better to get it before it flowers. But what you can do is, I mean, you can just pick tons of this and not hurt the population. But you, the way you're going to eat it is you're going to pick the leaves off of all the stems. You can eat it fresh if you want to. It has a tendency to be more bitter than more garlicky, but you can also cook it, throw it into other greens. Or some people, you can make pesto out of this, where you just grind it up in a food processor with basil and pine nuts and everything else that goes into pesto. So this is, it's free, it's nutritious, and it's not endangered, so go to town. Alright, I want to talk a little bit about dandelion greens. Everybody knows what those are. They're in your backyard. The entire plant is edible. It just depends on what time that you're trying to eat it. In the early spring, the leaves are edible. They're fresh. You can eat them fresh or as a green, cooked green. But this yellow flower here is also edible. And it's interesting that you can turn them into fritters. You just pluck off the whole flower, dip it in like a pancake batter, and deep fry them. And they're highly prized. Much like pumpkin squash blossoms, you've heard of that. Those are edible. So just another interesting use of dandelion. This is common plantain. It's an invasive weed that you see in your yard, but they're edible. The leaves, you just cook them, and they have a lot of vitamin A in them. So easy to find and good tasting. Alright, so here's another wild edible. This is wild asparagus. And really it's just commercial asparagus that's escaped to the wild. It's the same genus and species. The reason I could find this is that in the summer it sends up the seed heads are really frilly and almost like a fern, and so I saw those last summer and I knew that there was wild asparagus here. It's too late to pick it then, but mark your spot and then come back in April, late April, and you'll see it coming up. Very highly prized. Everybody loves asparagus. Grill it, saute it, roast it. It's great anyway. Okay, so here's another one. Look how big that one is. Excellent, very excellent. Very glad to see these here. Alright, so here we have pineapple weed. Let me try and pronounce the name here. Matricaria matricarioides. So it's an aster. It's related to chamomile, actually. But this is it's non-native, and it's found in disturbed areas. Comes up along your driveway or through the cracks of your sidewalk, or likes it dry and hot. But you can take off these yellow balls and steep them and make a tea. And it's called pineapple weed because it has a vague taste of pineapple. And if you Kind of pinch this. Kind of smells like pineapple, so you can make a hot or cold tea out of it. All right, everybody. Today we have here in front of us, we have a mayapple. Real common plant. Everybody's seen these. It's a member of the barberry family, and it's Podophyllum peltatum. This is the part that you eat. This is the mayapple. It's just now starting to form. They get about the size of a walnut, and you should only eat them when they are yellow. That's when they're ripe, and they're kind of soft. They taste kind of like, to me, they taste like kind of pineapple-y and lemony. But you can make jelly out of them. You can make, you can eat them fresh, or you can squeeze them into drinks, like squeeze them into your lemonade. But vitamin C and vitamin A. Here we have an example of what not to eat. This is highly poisonous. This is poison hemlock. It's a pretty plant. It's very similar to, it's the same parsley family, same as Queen Anne's lace, wild carrot. But this is highly poisonous. In fact, don't even touch it with your hands. Cattle can eat this and get sick and die. But I just want you to know what it looks like. This is, April 27th? Mm-hmm. And it's, so it's up pretty high. Actually, Queen Anne's lace comes up a little bit later in the spring. So this comes up first. So be very careful when you're around this plant, wild poison hemlock. Okay, I guess I should talk a little bit about why should we even care about wild edibles? Why not just go to the grocery store, get whatever we want? Well, until a few months ago, that might have been okay. But wild edibles, I think it's always good to know a few edible things in your backyard if you ever had to eat on your own, you know. Also, they're free. If you've got kids, it's kind of fun to hunt this stuff with your kids. I think they'd get a real kick out of it. I did when I was a kid. And they're much more nutritious than what you would find at the grocery that's been sitting there for a couple weeks. It's been said that wild greens lose about a third of their nutrition within the first hour. So if you go out and pick some of this stuff right before dinner, you're getting the maximum amount of nutrition. So those are all good reasons to care about wild edibles.